There's something quietly powerful about driftwood. It's not polished. It's not perfect. But it carries a softness that only time and tide can create. It once belonged to something larger. A tree, a branch, a root reaching into water. Then came the break. The storm. The swell. A quiet letting go. The sea took it, shaped it, tumbled it. Carried it far from where it began. And when it washed ashore, worn down and pale, it brought with it a story that only the waves could write. Now it rests on the sand waiting. Smooth in some places, ragged in others. Sun-bleached. Wind-dried. A perfect piece of nature's forgotten art. Macramé, by contrast, is deliberate. A human craft, practiced through repetition and rhythm. Hands move in looping patterns. Knots tighten. Threads intertwine. There's structure to it but also flow. Patience is its language. And when macramé is joined with driftwood, when fine woven fibers are anchored into something wild and aged, it becomes more than a decoration. It becomes a dialogue between chaos and order, between nature and nurture, between past and presence. The piece usually begins with a walk. Along the beach maybe. Or near a river's edge. The eye scans the shoreline looking not for perfection but for possibility. A piece of driftwood that speaks, not loudly but distinctly. Maybe it curves like a question mark. Maybe it's a simple straight line with one weathered knot like an eye, peeking out from the grain. You pick it up. Feel its weight. Run your fingers along the grain. It's warm from the sun. Dry. Light but solid. It has potential. Back at the workspace, the driftwood gets cleaned, not scrubbed or stripped but respected. The idea isn't to erase what the ocean did. It's to let it show through. A soft brush might remove sand. A cloth might wipe off salt. But the cracks remain. The grooves. The uneven edges. These are the elements that give it personality. You hold it up, examine where the fibers might hang. Left heavier than right? Maybe a natural curve will give the final piece motion. Everything starts with that balance. Then the macramé cord. Cotton is common, natural, soft, textured, but some use jute or hemp for an earthier feel. The cord is measured and cut, usually several lengths folded in half and looped over the driftwood in what's called a lark's head knot. From there the dance begins. Square knots, half hitches, spiral twists, a few strands pulled taut, others left to hang loose, to wave like fringe in a gentle breeze. You don't need to be an expert to appreciate what's happening. The process is slow, intentional. Every knot carries the memory of fingers that twisted and pulled and tightened with care. As the pattern builds, so does the personality of the piece. Some macramé on driftwood is geometric, diamonds, triangles, structured forms with sharp symmetry. Others are more organic, arcs and soft curves that mimic waves or tree branches. Some are minimalist. A few lines, a few knots, and long, elegant fringe. Others are elaborate, layered like woven feathers, cascading downward like a waterfall frozen mid-flow. Some creators add beads or driftwood slivers woven into the pattern, or feathers collected from the same shore where the wood was found. Some dye the cords, earth tones, sunset reds, ocean blues. Others leave them natural, allowing the soft cream of cotton to glow against the darker, weather-washed wood. The finished piece might be small, just wide enough to hang above a desk, offering a moment of quiet between tasks. Or it might be large, a wall-length installation that commands a room with its gentle sway and flowing lines. When hung, macramé on driftwood doesn't sit still. It reacts to wind, to breath, to footsteps nearby. It stirs slightly, moves with a kind of grace that no machine can replicate. It becomes alive in the space as if it's listening, remembering, and waiting. What makes it so compelling isn't just the craftsmanship, it's the combination. The driftwood, shaped by water, never knowing what it would become. The macramé, shaped by human hands, deliberate and focused. Together they hold attention. One wild, the other structured. One accidental, the other composed. But both soft, both gentle, both quietly strong. And no two pieces are ever the same. That's the gift of working with driftwood. Each branch, each sliver, each salt-kissed scrap of tree holds a unique silhouette. Some twist like smoke. Others jet out like arrows. You may find a piece that curves like a crescent moon, perfect for a cradle of knotted strands that echo its shape. Or you might stumble upon a gnarled root, tangled and thick, begging for a bold, full-bodied weave that matches its weight. The placement of the knots follows the wood's mood. If it dips, the pattern might follow. If it rises, the chords might fall in contrast, a visual counterpoint. You're not just working on the driftwood, you're working with it. Listening. Letting it guide you. It becomes a partner in the process, not just a platform. Some artists incorporate shells into their macrame, small, white, glinting accents tucked among the fibers. Others press tiny mirrors, copper wire, or dried flowers between the strands, giving the piece both texture and story. A few even layer in light, tiny warm LED strands woven into the fringe, giving off a soft, flickering glow when the sun goes down. At night, the piece becomes even more magical. A quiet sculpture of movement and light. There's something incredibly meditative about the creation process. The repetition of knots. The feel of fiber pulling through fingers. The soft creak of driftwood. The silence that builds as the pattern takes shape. Hours can pass unnoticed. The world slows. The piece grows. And in the end, when it's finally finished, what remains isn't just a hanging. It's a moment. A conversation captured in thread and grain. People hang these pieces above beds. In meditation corners. In reading nooks. In sunrooms filled with plants and quiet. They add warmth without clutter. They carry weight without noise. In minimalist homes they soften hard edges. In rustic homes they echo nature's rhythm. In coastal homes they feel like memory. Like breath. Like waves still moving even when the tide is far away. Some become gifts. Symbols of care, patience, time. Others are made to sell, each one numbered and named saltwind, moonroot, tide thread, stillness. And still others are kept. Hung by their makers in spaces where creativity first sparked. A reminder of process. Of beauty born from time, touch, and tide. In the end, macrame on driftwood isn't just decoration. It's a form of slow expression. A handmade echo. A way of saying, here is something shaped by nature, held by time, and woven by hands that knew to move slowly. Here is something worth pausing for. Worth noticing. Worth bringing into a space not because it shouts but because it speaks, softly, steadily, without ever needing words. Macrame on driftwood isn't just decoration. It's a meeting place, a quiet collaboration between human hands and nature's rhythm. The driftwood, shaped by time, water, and weather, holds stories in every curve and grain. It arrives smooth, twisted, unpredictable, never identical, never controlled. And when it becomes the foundation for hand-tied macrame, something quietly powerful happens. The wildness of nature meets the intention of design. Texture meets texture. Flow meets form. There's a certain poetry to it. The driftwood, having traveled who knows how far, washed ashore like a gift. Weathered but whole. Scarred but beautiful. And then the macrame, knots tied one by one, strands pulled and woven, transformed through repetition and care. Together they become more than the sum of their parts. A wall hanging. A banner. A statement piece that doesn't just catch the eye, it holds it, invites it, calms it. What makes it truly special is its honesty. There's no hiding behind symmetry or perfection here. The driftwood might curve unexpectedly, the macrame might sway or stretch slightly in ways you didn't plan, but that's the magic. It breathes. It lives. It reflects the maker's hand and the ocean's will. No two pieces are ever the same, and that's not a flaw, it's a feature. It's what makes this kind of art so deeply personal, even sacred. And it fits anywhere. In a sunlit hallway, a nursery, a reading nook, above a bed or a doorway. Whether your space leans coastal, boho, modern, rustic, or something uniquely your own, a macrame piece on driftwood carries with it a quiet, grounding energy. It doesn't overpower the room, it softens it. Adds layers. Movement. Warmth. It becomes a visual pause in a world of constant motion. If you've made one yourself, you know the rhythm of it. The meditation in each knot. The time it takes, not rushed, not loud, but deliberate. You measure, you loop, you pull. You adjust. And somewhere in that repetition your thoughts slow. Your breathing steadies. You get absorbed in the work, and by the time you're done you're not just left with a finished piece, you're left with a kind of stillness. A moment made tangible. Even choosing the piece of driftwood is part of the experience. It's not something you grab off a shelf. You find it on a walk. On a beach. In the woods after a storm. And you don't choose it for being perfect. You choose it because it speaks to you. Maybe it has a curve you like or a split that tells a story. Maybe it just feels right in your hands. Whatever it is, that branch becomes your canvas. And the macrame becomes your voice. Together they say something that's hard to put into words. About the relationship between time and craft. About the beauty of things that are found, not made. About patience. Imperfection. So whether you're admiring someone else's work or creating your own, macrame on driftwood is more than just art. It's connection. To the earth. To your hands. To the small, quiet beauty that lives in the in-between places. the shorelines, the forests, the corners of a quiet room. Because in the end, it's not just a piece of rope and wood. It's a soft reminder that the best things don't come from control. They come from balance. From letting nature lead and trusting your hands to follow. From honoring the imperfect, the weathered, the raw, and seeing not what it was but what it can become. That's the quiet magic of macrame on driftwood. And once you see it, really see it, you'll never look at a simple branch, or a piece of string, the same way again.